Right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to One Leeds, unfamiliar surroundings. We're here in, I'm not going to say where you live. Might have a few fans outside Brownie as you do at Ellen Road, mate. But we're back here discussing Leeds United. I started calling this straight talk. Okay. So that's what I've gone with. Right. We've only got one mic for this one, but I thought I'd come down, meet Brownie, and we'll get into the thick of it when it comes to Leeds United. So first of all, mate, how you do? It's like I'm on an interview here. How are you doing?
Yeah, really good. I've been chuckling away all week at things that have been put on social media. It can't be real. It must be a parallel universe, social media, because I was coming back from Cardiff thinking, we just got beat. We must be bottom of the championship. But yeah, it's for me, we're in a good place, another home game to come, which we go into thinking we can win any home game. But me personally, other than fighting with a coffee table all morning, trying to put that up. Yeah, he did, yeah. I got to the point where it was all done, but it was upside down. Yeah, and I was now thinking, right, how am I getting this up the right way up? So, yeah, I'm good, mate. Good
stuff. Yeah, so as I say, guys, we've only got one mic for this one, but we thought we'd do it anyway. But wanted to get Brownie's thoughts. They loved the show last week, which was a spicy one, wasn't it? But it was, yeah, it's always good with Brownie to get his side of things, obviously home and away, and we've got some bits to get into. And the first thing I want to put to you, you're going to bend your toes with this one because we've been speaking about it anyway. 1-0 up, Cardiff, reports of booing.
I wouldn't.
Man on the ground.
I wouldn't go as far as booing. Moans and groans. Booing. I mean, it might have sounded like booing from where people were, but I just think this day and age, we're buying into a rhetoric on social media and anything that can forge traction, sort of like works in 2024. Don't get me wrong, there was a bit discontent going backwards all the time. You've heard it at Ellen Road, but I think booing is a strong phrase. Certainly weren't booing when Pirot put the ball into the top corner to make it 2-0. I would say there was a lot more booing coming for the other 3/4 of the ground than there was in the Leeds end. But like I said on the show last week, I think it's the way of the world, and we just like to moan and groan. Yeah, me included. I'm the biggest moaner in the world, as you well know. But I thought
come across though. Doesn't come across on these.
Really?
Don't come across. Yeah.
But yeah, I always look at the tweets from the established journalists and things coming back from games to see how it's perceived. Other people might think differently. I mean, there's the thing about the atmosphere being poor in the ground, but then you see certain sections that say, well, it's good where I am. So it could be a different perception from a different part of the ground. But I did think booing was a tad harsh, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it did feel like it was, I don't know, maybe was it a performance that, I mean, you 1-0 up against, I mean, they were dour, weren't they? How bad were they? Rotherham-esque, really, weren't they?
Up there, one of the worst championship performances I've seen. I mean, they had 2 touches in our box.
Yeah, I thought they were so bad. There was just not even, I couldn't even complete a pass because they were so bad. Anyway.
On the completed passes, again, I like to read things on the way back, kill time and that. Tanaka came on in the 91st minute and completed more passes than any Cardiff player.
Yeah.
That just sums up what Cardiff was like. So that goes into, we weren't great, we weren't this, we weren't that. I mean, I don't know how much more control you can have of a football game. Yeah, we all want to see more goals, but again, I think it's another game where we've missed the penalty strike, 3-0. Ramazani's missed an easier chance than the one he scored.
Aronson as well.
4-0. Aronson is at the one in the start of the second half. 5-0. Yeah. I mean, it's not like we're not churning these chances out. And I like to get into some sort of like debates on social media to kill a bit of time. And there was a tweet back to me. We're not good enough. The likes of, he threw Middlesbrough into there that were better. I mean, we've scored more than Middlesbrough and conceded less. Yet Middlesbrough are better than us and play better football. I can't compute it. There was other teams in there. I mean, everybody's waxing lyricals about West Brom. They scored 1 more goal than Leeds.
Yeah.
1.
Yeah.
There's only, I think, Burnley and the other team, I think, I want to say Sunderland, possibly Blackburn. They've scored more goals than Leeds this season in 6 games. And I just think we're hammering them for not scoring enough goals, but we've scored the same as Sheffield United. It's not like we're not scoring goals. It's just, me included, 2-0 Cardiff. Would it have been better 4, 5, 6? Yeah, of course it would, but you don't get any more points.
So do you think so obviously me and you have chats about footy a lot. And so I sort of see it as like, when I watch a game, you try to break it down a lot, and obviously you've been from a coaching perspective as well. You kind of understand how you break it down a little bit, but I guess is there any point in doing that when you're winning games? I guess this is the first question. And number 2, second question, like, I think maybe, and you're maybe hearing this as well, I feel like last time we were in the Championship, it feels very Farke, Bielsa sort of thing, and maybe we're used to dominating games in a different way with Marcelo Bielsa, and with Farke, it feels maybe less expansive. Let's go. There's more control, isn't there? But
on that, Connor, because it's a great point. We you know how big a fan I am of Bielsa. It'll never be the same. In my lifetime, it will never be the same. Whether we get back to the Premier League and we get into that brand of football, I don't think we'll ever see again. And I do think it's spoiled us and tarnished us, because he was a genius with what he did. I mean, he made Bamford and Phillips England internationals. He had Ayling on the cusp of an England call-up. Yeah. When you say that out loud, it sounds crazy. But when you talk about dominating a game, I think we do. I really think we do. I'm not one for XG, but people who keep going on about stats, we've given away the least XG in the league. I mean, how much the more dominant can you be? And we've faced fewer shots than any other team in the league. That's dominance for me. That is dominance, but in a different way. Yeah. Cardiff having 2 touches in our box, two touches in nearly 100 minutes in the penalty box. That is dominance. And yeah, sometimes you come away thinking it's boring, but I do remember once upon a time when Bielsa was getting towards the end of his tenure, it was, we need to be more pragmatic. We need to be a bit more reserved. And I think it's finding that fine line, because it's gone from basketball games to 1-0 and shut up shop. We all remember Arsenal in the early 90s, 1-0 to the Arsenal. Yeah. And I look back at the weekend's games, Arsenal didn't do anything fantastic. They literally just defended and camped. And just because Cardiff had 10 men, we were all expecting to score 3, 4, 5, 6. It took Man City till the 99th minute to break down Arsenal's 10 men. Preston went down to 10 men in the first half. Preston didn't break it down. It doesn't always become straightforward.
10 men again?
Blackburn, yeah. Sam Greenwood got sent. Preston, went down to.
They went 10 men against.
Yeah,
Burnley, didn't they?
Preston went down to 10 men, and Blackburn, who were above us in the league, couldn't break Preston down. Yeah. It doesn't always transpire that way, because if you think teams against Leeds, they set up, defend, camp, try and do us on the counter a little bit. When you've got a man less, it's going to be even more defensive. It's going to be even more structured. And I thought Leeds cut Cardiff open at will. Watching the highlights back, the commentators were saying Leeds are in again. Now, how can you be saying Leeds are in again if we're not creating chances? I think it was another game where it could have been 5 or 6, and I genuinely do think someone's going to take an absolute hammering. I really do think someone's going to take a beating and a hammering, and when that happens, I don't know. But if we weren't creating gilt-head, cutthroat chances,
you'd be more worried.
We would be worried, but how many games this season where we've come away thinking, have we only scored that? Yeah. That to me can't be a system thing. And I maybe sound like a broken record from last week, but it was very much similar to the Burnley game. Should have scored 4 or 5. We spoke before off air about the likeness of, is it boring and dull? And I was probably Gareth Southgate's one of his biggest critics, even though he got to finals and things, but it was boring to watch. And
performances, wasn't it?
And it was performances, and it felt like we were playing with the handbrake on. And I've seen some similarities in social media about, is Leeds like watching that? And I do get it. But I think in a tournament, the jeopardy is so high that if you make a mistake in a knockout game, you're gone. You're out. Whereas over a 46-game season, if you don't break that team down how you're playing, you still got another 45 games to do it and go through it. So, I mean, it's been so much, would I say negative? Definitely critics this week. We've won 3 out of the last 4. We've won 3 games out of the last 4, and I'm not sure what else we can do. 1 defeat in 6. If we go 1 defeat in 6 from now until the end of the season, we go up 100%.
Would you say the performances? I mean, we're just talking about your brother, actually, weren't we?
Yeah.
And performances can lead to specific results, can't they? If you're performing well over a period of time, you're getting the statistics on side, but you're playing a brand of football of which teams can't really deal with. Even if you're not getting the results at the start, you can see it's going to churn really. And maybe it's the opposite now with Farke, where you're sort of seeing maybe not the performances, but he's getting the results, and maybe that's sort of a yin and the yang at the minute.
Yeah, the results definitely help, because obviously if you're not getting them results in, it's a results business at the end of the day. The results are what matter the most. So that's why I'm a bit, we are getting the results with how we're playing. We're picking up points. Top 2 is definitely the aim, and it is a failure if we don't get there, which I firmly believe with what we've got we will be. But
do you think it was a failure last year?
Yeah, I think it was a failure last year, which is probably why there's more pressure on him this year, because we have to go up. You mentioned the XG. We're top of XG for chances created, and that if we're top of XG, it doesn't buy into the fact that we're boring.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, you're creating chances.
Because we are creating chances. If Ramazani puts his chance away and Strike puts his chance away, which should do, if Joseph puts his chance away in the first 30 seconds against Burnley, are we still saying we're boring because we're scoring more goals? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do we need to beat teams 4-5 for us to not be boring? I don't know. But football, it's not FIFA. It's not Football Manager. It's people's jobs and a business at the end of the day, and you've got to do what you need to do to get 3 points. And like I said before, you don't get an extra point for flair.
Yeah.
We had this debate years ago about goal difference when it was the other way with Bielsa.
That's what I was saying again at the weekend. Goal difference
with Bielsa, and I said, yeah, goal difference is great, but how often does it come down to that? And since we've had that conversation, I don't think anything's been decided on goal difference. Last year, people going, it might be goal. No, Ipswich did us by about 5 or 6 points in the end. Nothing came down to goal difference.
So it felt like at one point it might.
It felt like at one point it does, but 99.9% of the time, it's points that matter.
Yeah. Do you think? I guess. Yeah, the goal difference thing's an interesting thing, really. Do you think? I guess at points it's those marginal gains in it that are going to get you promoted, and you'd rather. I think that's where I was thinking. Yeah, if you get 4 or 5 there against the worst team in the league, and obviously Burnley got 5 against them, aren't they? You're probably expecting Sheffield United to do something similar against the easiest team in the division. I guess the goal difference thing's an interesting conversation, really. But Joseph, from like obviously a former striker's perspective, I'm still very pro Joseph. I have to be honest. The first goal once again, at the weekend where he sort of dragged the defender central, and he's sort of, the defenders almost try to wrestle him down, but Joseph occupied him. I think he gets a little touch. Ramazani's in. He's dragged the defender out to do that. I think I guess the thing with him is he's still getting involved, isn't he, in a fair few of the goals. I know you're probably going to say, he's not scoring as many as you'd like, but Perot coming on at the weekend. I mean, what I will say is I don't think there's anyone in the squad who had been more reliant on scoring that goal. I genuinely believe, when he went through there, I thought, this is going in the back of the net. He's a quality finisher. But I guess it's the overall game with Peru where we were speaking last year about Bamford coming in for him because of all of Peru's deficiencies. Yeah. So maybe there's a little bit of a conversation there once again, Peru or Joseph. I mean, where do you stand with it?
I think we said this on the show last week about I thought he'd make changes. In the end, it was an enforced change with Solomon. But I said then I think Pirou was definitely knocking on the door because his goal against Hull. Yeah. There's no. I said then there's in front of goal. His eyes cold, and there's nobody in the squad you'd want more in front of goal. It's definitely a headache for him now, I think.
Do you think?
With his comments coming out saying he's the best finisher, him saying that the chances aren't being converted. He said something about hoovers.
Oh, yeah.
He said something about we need to hoover, like a hoover salesman going door to door. We need just one sale to win a game, and they need one sale to make a profit. It feels like
it's been like that with Leeds for a while, though, in terms of just missing chances, doesn't it? You know, it feels like even Bielsa. It's always been the same thing.
Yeah, it does. Which probably buys into the fact that we've probably said for the last 5-6 years that we need a number 9. Chances, and I tweeted out, goals win games, of course they do, but defences win titles. We associate Man City with this fast attacking, flowing football. But last year they won the league, and I'd probably say they conceded the least goals. Probably up there with Arsenal, who went neck and neck all the way through the season with goals against. And I think that'd be the same this year. I think you look at Leicester last year. I think when we came to play them at Ellen Road, I think they were still in single figures of how many conceded the goals they'd had. And if you're not conceding goals, you're not losing games. But going back to the top end of the pitch, it's definitely a headache. Definitely a headache now. Piro's scored 2 in 2 coming off the bench. Your number 9's not scoring goals. That's 1 goal in 6. I'm not saying he's playing badly, because he's I think that's 3 assists for him now. So he's.
I think he played well against Cardiff as well.
I thought he did. Yeah, I thought he did really well. Is there a way you can get them both in? People are saying, do we need 2 sitters at home? In Gruev and Ampadu. It was surprising how long he left it like that on against Cardiff, because we were so dominant. But that's, I think, he's not one to lose faith and knee-jerk reactions when things haven't gone right. And I think we saw that with the team selection. It was exactly the same. We always say Germans are like machines, like Audi cars, Ausbildungstechnik, okay? Like they're meant to be machines. And if that's what he wants to do, just keep churning out results. Obviously, there's another question if we can do that in the Premier League. We've looked at the teams that have gone up this year, and Russell Martin's wanting to play that same brand of football in the Premier League. And
I think there's a big conversation with him in the Premier League.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm sure we'll get onto it about the stadium expansion and the vision of Leeds United. It's a business, and results are all that matters. So, do I think he'll change it? Probably not, maybe. He's got his way of playing, and if that's getting results, he's not going to change it. But there's definitely a question to how you get Puro in the team, because you know yourself from playing and people who have played, if you're doing your job but you still can't play, at some point your confidence and motivation then starts to wane and dip. So can one of them play in the 10? Can Puro go back in and play in that 10? But then I think we lose Aronson, who's also been brilliant. So that's why he's paid the big money, because he's got to make the decisions. But from my point of view, the decisions he's making are working, because we've lost 1 game of football and we're about to go into October.
It's true. Right, guys. Well, for this segment, I've not even told him yet, but for this segment, we're going to leave it there. We're going to do a little bit of a Cardiff preview as well, and we might do something on Daniel Farke. So make sure you tune in with the One Leeds fan channel, and me and Brownie will be back in a bit. Cheers.